In villages across Mexico and Guatemala, there are people who live two lives, one during the day and a completely different one after dark. They're called nahuales, and according to the belief, some of your neighbors might be one without you ever knowing. The core idea is deceptively simple. Certain people are born with the ability to transform into an animal at will. A jaguar, an owl, a coyote. Whatever creature is bound to their spirit from the moment they were born. This isn't a curse forced on them, like a werewolf story. For most nahuales, it's a skill, sometimes inherited, sometimes taught by an elder. The animal form isn't a monster wearing a human's face. It's genuinely both at once, animal instincts guided by a human mind underneath. That's actually the detail that makes this legend so unsettling in practice. A nahual's eyes, in animal form, still look human, too aware, too knowing. If you ever lock eyes with an owl or a jaguar that watches you a little too intelligently, the old warning says, don't look away first. Belief comes from a much older Mesoamerican concept called the tonal, or Nahual, the idea that every person is spiritually linked to an animal counterpart from birth. For most people, that link stays purely symbolic, guiding personality and fate. For a select few, the link becomes literal. How someone becomes a nahual depends on which version of the story you're told. Some say it's simply inherited, passed down a bloodline like a family trait, no choice involved at all. Others say it must be learned, an elder nahual choosing an apprentice, teaching them the ritual across years of quiet instruction. And in some tellings, becoming one requires something darker, a deliberate pact, trading part of your humanity for the power to transform. The transformation itself follows a consistent ritual across most versions of the legend. At night, alone, the person removes their clothing and sets it aside carefully. Human and animal cannot occupy the same space at once. Then the body begins to shift, spine arching, fur or feathers spreading, until what stands there is fully the animal, with nothing human left visible. And here's the rule that matters most. If you're ever telling this story to someone from the region, never destroy a nahual's clothing while they're transformed. Without it, tradition says, they can be trapped in animal form permanently, unable to return to being human ever again. Not every nahual uses this ability the same way, and that's really the emotional core of the legend. Some are healers, using their animal form to travel quickly, gather rare herbs, or watch over their community while everyone else sleeps. Others are protectors, guarding their village from threats in the dark, using strength and senses no human body could match. But some are something else entirely. Sorcerers who use the transformation to spy, to steal, to curse a rival, or worse. This moral split is exactly why the legend survives generation after generation. You genuinely can't tell a good nahual from a dangerous one just by looking. So communities developed their own practical ways to protect themselves, just in case the visitor outside wasn't a good one. Salt and certain chilies scattered across a doorway are said to block a transformed nahual from crossing the threshold entirely. A rooster's crow at dawn is said to force an unfinished transformation to end immediately, sometimes catching the person in an animal form permanently if they don't make it home in time. And there's one especially dark piece of folk practice tied to this. Injuring the animal form is said to leave an identical wound on the person's human body the next morning. Which means, according to belief, if a strange animal attacks your livestock and you manage to wound it, you may quietly discover exactly who your neighbor really is. This isn't some obscure, forgotten myth either. The nahual is one of the most widespread supernatural beliefs across Mexico and Central America. It appears under different names and forms in Aztec, Maya, and Zapotec tradition, each with its own regional details. When Spanish colonization brought Catholicism into the region, the nahual didn't disappear the way many indigenous beliefs were forced to. Instead, it survived by blending, sometimes framed by colonial priests as witchcraft, sometimes quietly kept alive in parallel with Christian practice. That blending is still visible today in some communities, where old animal spirit symbols sit carved beside Christian ones in the same buildings. Anthropologists studying the belief note something important. It isn't purely supernatural folklore in these communities. It functions as real social structure. Suspecting someone is a nahual in some villages still genuinely affects how they're treated, trusted, or avoided by their neighbors. And reports haven't stopped in the modern era either. Drivers on rural highland roads still describe animals crossing the road that vanish before headlights fully catch them. Skeptics point to something simpler: real jaguars, real owls, real coyotes, combined with genuine belief shaping what a frightened mind perceives in the dark. But in a region where this story has been told with total sincerity for well over 1,000 years, that simple explanation rarely settles the question completely. So, if you're ever walking home through a highland village at night and an owl on a low branch seems to watch you a little too closely, don't be the one who looks away first.